When a lot of people think of Los Angeles, they think of the beach. Not only the beach, people think about the film industry here. But these things are small little slices. No, Los Angeles is just an incredible multi-layered onion with all kinds of walks of life and all kinds of perspectives and all kinds of everything. Getting to be more involved with as many of those layers of onion as possible has been really rewarding. That holistic view of a place, I think, really lends itself to a holistic view of your surroundings. And the holistic element is what drives Angel City Lumber. And I think having a holistic perspective is something that is very easy to do in Los Angeles. I absolutely did not ever think that I would start an urban lumber company, no. I was having a hard time making ends meet as a self-employed carpenter and a maker. All I knew was that I loved wood and I loved working it. I fell in love with wood from the minute I started working for a furniture maker, my friend Sam Moyer. So as a carpenter, I would basically work at night most of the time at the shop, and I would listen to podcasts. And I listened to all kinds of subjects, but a favorite of mine is planetary science and the cosmos. And one night I heard on this podcast, Bill Nye was talking about how no matter what your occupation is, if you want to positively contribute to your home planet, you can. It just stuck in my craw, those words. And then one day, shortly thereafter, I was walking in Altadena at Eaton Canyon Trail. This is right after a storm. My son, Owen, was 2. My dog, Bean, and we were on a hike. And we were walking across the initial creek bed. And there in front of us at the T on the trail was this fallen codominant coast live oak. One main trunk had fallen in the brush, the other main trunk had fallen in the trailway. And something harkened back to, oh, this may be a way in which I can contribute to the world around me. I'm going to do a locally sourced piece of furniture from this tree. And so I asked the ranger about me taking the tree log to make lumber from it, and he was like, you can't do that. That's not how it works. This is a county park. And I said, well, why not? And he said, well, here's what happens. The part of the tree that is in the brush, we leave to decompose. And then the part that fell in the trailway, we're going to have to cut it up and cart it off to get mulched. Well, that just set me on a whole thought process of, well, there's a lot of trees in this city. Like, is that what happens to all of them? And long story short, came to find out that, yeah, that's exactly what happens to all of the millions of trees in Los Angeles County. And then that really drove the nail home of, okay, this is something that I could do. Urban lumber, at least the term as I understand it, is producing wood from urban trees. So the term urban lumber makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate it. If I keep pulling that thread, I say to myself, well, if I were to get some urban birch from Maine, I wouldn't really be any more connected to that tree because I live in Los Angeles. So for me, it needed to go a step further. Our whole mission is about reconnecting humans to trees. So how does one connect or reconnect And to me, that means that the trees that we're talking about need to be within eyeshot of where you live. Because when you see a tree, and maybe even get to know it intimately on some level, and then it dies, and then it becomes lumber, well, that's just not lumber anymore. So that's really why Los Angeles lumber for us is more important than urban lumber. We're not only interfacing with urban trees in the Los Angeles area, we're also now really excited to have the opportunity to interface with the forest trees in Los Angeles County as well. The Forest Service and the Angeles National Forest, this has never really been a timber forest. However, the Angeles, just like all of our other domestic forests, has a lot of dead hazard trees that need to be removed from the forest floor to mitigate fires. So we're in this really special and cool intersection where we've learned as a country what needs to happen moving forward, and we're not already entrenched in some big industrial timber system down here. We're kind of getting a new chance at how we interface with the Angeles National Forest and utilizing timber from trees that we're not cutting down for timber. We're making timber from them because they've expired, to tell the story of those trees that expired. And that's a much different ballgame. It's a little misrepresented when people are like, hey Jeff, can you talk about Angel City lumber? Because, yeah, okay, I started it, but it's one thing to start something and it's quite another thing to make it go and maintain it. Without the team that we've got, I mean, Angel City lumber would not be. A certain animal makes their way to Angel City lumber, and they're usually very intentional, very smart, very driven, and very team-oriented. So there's a through line, even though everyone at ACL is very different. They have a different background, different mentality, different experiences, different ethnicities, but there's a through line that ties everybody together, and that's usually intentionality and connection to the community and the trees and what they're doing. Everyone at ACL is extremely skilled, and not only in a general sense, in addition, they're also skilled in a super specific sense. What we're doing is really specific, so they've also developed their job. First, I would take a stab at my personal definition of art. And I would say that that's the ability to tap into the transcendent nature of all things and not just the everyday practical things. And I would say the art of what we do in that lens is to see trees as more than plants or as Latin names and building material. do a fair amount of building and crafting, we also keep it pretty simple. The thing we all know at Angel City Lumber is that simple doesn't come easy. Simple looks easy and it looks effortless, but the effort required to get to simple is great. And that's design, that's craftsmanship, that's everything that we encompass. I came to Los Angeles in 2002 as an actor. How cliche. After middle school, I was really drawn to acting, and in retrospect, I realized that it was basically a fascination with what I would now call empathy. I was always interested in what is it like to be in the shoes of someone else. Interestingly enough, it was relegated to humans. And I realize now, again, in retrospect, at 45, that the way what I do now dovetailed so nicely with that was that it's still that empathic muscle, but it's not just humans, it's the world around you. I want Angel City Lumber's legacy to be the last bastion of how we do lumber right now. And what I mean by that is I want Angel City Lumber 100 years from now to vanish. We are currently doing our business in this economic model that we live in with a nod to the future to say what we're going to do in Los Angeles County eventually is every local neighborhood, every micro community is gonna manage their own trees, is gonna mill their own timber, is going to utilize that timber with a holistic view of planting trees, maintaining trees, seeing trees at their death. So we're gonna encourage the local community to then take it on themselves. The legacy, hopefully, is we just fade into oblivion because we're reconnecting to the way we should be doing it.